Welcome back to the Success Shift, everybody. We're here. We cultivate entrepreneur confidence. This is a journey for you to guide through your success story and learn all the things that you need to learn to become exactly who you want to be. Today, I have a very special guest that I'm honored to have on the show. We've been planning this for quite some time. To say he's a friend would be false. He's a brother. He's my brother from another mother, right? We'll go ahead and say that.
Yeah.
We've known each other for a very long time. I'm happy to have on the show. Honestly, I'm really excited to have you on the show because this is going to be a little bit of a different twang from what the viewers are used to.
Right.
And so I'm excited for that. Before I introduce him, just to kind of tell you my side of who he is, he's probably one of the most integrity-driven individuals I've ever met. He's loyal, he's faithful, he's an incredible husband, soon to be father, and an incredible son and an incredible brother to me. So I'm going to actually pass it over to him and introduce him. Matt, what's going on, brother?
Not much, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Happy to be here in SD. Got a moment to get away, so come see you guys, hang out, and thank you for having me on the show. Really, really proud of what you guys are doing here and, everything you're building up. So thank you for having me on, and love to get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So for everybody that's listening, this is Matthew Tobin. He's from the Central Valley of California, the Fresno area of California. Matt, if you want to tell everyone a little bit about you, kind of your background, and what you're currently doing.
Yeah. So like you said, Central Valley kid at heart, kind of grew up all throughout Central Valley. Right now I call Clovis my home. That's where my wife and we have our house. And like you said, we're expecting our first kid. So, family man coming this way. So, I got a son coming, due to be born in March. So super, super excited for that journey, seeing what that chapter is going to bring in our life, just very excited for that. But to take it back a bit, grew up from, very blue collar, hardworking parents, out in the middle of the country. We learn hard work, you have to put in the work, do the work yourself. Or else it's not going to get done, right?
Yeah.
And so, going throughout most of my childhood and, going through school, was on the path of just, wanting to find a good, stable career, wanting to figure out what to do with my life. And luckily for me, I'm pretty decent at math and science. And so led down the path of engineering. And, I went through multiple junior colleges, transferred to Fresno State, got my bachelor's of science in civil engineering. And so I've been working as a civil engineer for a heavy civil contractor now, and working on a pretty controversial project, if you say. It's I might leave that one out for a minute, but so it's been interesting to say the least, and been with that company for about 6 years, and that's kind of my personal side, just civil engineering and working on the utility side of things, and been doing that for a while, but. Personally, just, I love to be with my family, with my friends, going, traveling different places, and, just seeing what we can get into.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Man, I'm excited for this one because most people that go the route of school and just the 9-to-5, lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of personal development or personal journey there. It's pretty standard, right? American, like you said, where we come from, it's very blue collar. Most of it's agriculture work, right? Some sort, wearing boots and jeans. And, get a cut, you put a Band-Aid on it, not even, you keep on going, fill it with some dirt.
Put some dirt on it.
Yeah. So, I mean, man, it's been remarkable for your equivalence, even though you didn't initially go down the path of entrepreneurship. You've always had that, like, in a way, that entrepreneurship at heart.
Yeah.
Which now I see it coming through, because now you're going down that software engineering side and you're trying to build your own platform for helping people, landing pages, websites, and the whole nine, which is really cool, by the way. What's awesome to see is you have so many years of experience of personal development to where it's flowing right into what you're doing. But I want to talk a little bit about that, man. Like, again, most 9-to-5ers don't personal development. They don't read, right? They're not trying to grow as a human to society naturally. But you did. Where in life was that switch for you, or where in life did you trigger, or what triggered you, I should say, to go down that route of personal development?
Yeah. I couldn't really pinpoint exactly what that trigger was for me, but I do know that back when I was a kid, I would be going to job sites with my dad. He worked a very manual labor job. I'd be going to the job sites with them because, I was with them. My parents are split, and so it was his day. He had to go to work. Was going to leave me there by himself, so I went with them. And multiple conversations we had was like, if you don't want to be working at times that you don't want to be, then the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you're your own boss. And that was something that stuck with me since I was a kid, of like, if you really want freedom and ownership of your own life, being able to do what you want to do, the really only way you can do that is if you're your own boss. So it's always kind of been in the back of my mind of, I want to go and have a great career, but it was always an end goal for me to have my own business, kind of be my own boss. And when I got into my career as a civil engineer, I immediately started looking at how can I provide value. Like I really, and I don't know what it was that kind of triggered. I think maybe the trigger for me was knowing that I've always wanted to end up owning my own business, being my own boss. I knew that just landing that 9 to 5, that cushion and that safety net wasn't going to get me there. I had to keep going beyond, especially with something like civil engineering or anything engineering wise. You got to have the years of experience to do it. You got to put in the work. You got to have something to show for. And so for me, it was like, okay, I'm in the door. Now what do I have to do to get up the ladder as much as I possibly can? And so that was when I just started diving into books and seeing like, okay, where am I lacking? Where are my weaknesses? And just started reading different things. And honestly, I didn't know what I didn't know at the time until I just started diving down that rabbit hole, and then start figuring out, okay, communication, how you talk with other people, how you send emails out, and so just finding those very little differences, showing up early, staying late. When I started out, I mean, just working all the time, and that's still something I, kind of stress is if you're starting in a new career, you're probably going to need to put in some overtime hours. It might suck, but 2-3 years later down the road, it's going to put you that much further. And so I just started doing those little things of, something that I was reading. I kind of saw how I can implement, and then also just looking for ways to add value because I already knew that was my main mission. Anytime my team was talking about something, I can add value there. Boom, I went and just did it, try to do something, and then presented them and say, hey, here's what I did. What do you think? And just see where it went from there.
Yeah. So I love you said like a few things, but you said since you were a kid, you always wanted to be your own boss.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, how many people probably want to be their own boss when they're in high school and middle school, right?
Right.
But you wanted to also have a solid career. And so given where we're from, it's very easy to make sure you have security, stability first, right? But I think it's great that you always had an angle of running your own show. And so for that, I think that's important for people to understand because like it's okay to have a career.
Yeah.
But like be okay with wanting more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what I really want to talk about and be full raw and transparent with is just like, I mean, honestly, man, where we came from.
Yeah.
Not too many people go make it right in the business world or whatever it is because of just how it is in our culture of where we grew up. It was a very small town, like we talked about, boots, jeans. And guys, when we were not in a city town, we used to, when we were in high school and I would stay the night at his house. He lived way out in the country.
Yep.
And there was a very narrow road. And there would be a couple hills, and then there was like a little almost like single jump at the end. And we used to race side by side in our trucks.
Yep.
Doing like 100 and would try to catch air next to each other.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about like two kids from some country towns, man.
Yeah.
fun times. But I've always admired what you've done, man, and what I really am excited for is for you to be able to tell your story. Like, to be all honest, bro, like there's so many reasons that you could have became I'm gonna say deadbeat, right?
Yep.
There's so many reasons you
Yep.
could have done nothing with your life.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, telling people kind of like all the adversity that you've gone through, and like what was the constant thing that would push you through that?
Yeah. So, I mean, growing up, like my parents were great. I love my parents. They were always, there for me. They did split up when I was at an early age. I believe I was fifth grade. So, that automatically puts some, wrenches in your daily life and kind of, modifies things a bit. And then, going through, I had some tragic deaths in our family that, there's cousins of mine that were very close. One I was actually there for. And then just kind of got caught in some crowds that they really weren't looking to do anything really. They just kind of want to see how they can get out of everything, kind of just party. Kind of got hooked in those crowds. And honestly, one of the big things that did help me a lot is racing dirt bikes with you. We started racing. It was like right around that time I was kind of hanging out with not the best crowd, and I was looking for something different and new, that this just isn't feeling right. And we got into racing, and that kind of just sent me on a different path. And then it was more kind of like, okay, let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can make of this. But yeah, I mean, it's like, I think the biggest thing for me, the driving factor of keeping going, was seeing how hard my parents worked for me to be where I was at, and for them to provide the little that they could. I'm not saying, we had little, but, they bust their ass for us to have what we had. And, I felt that I owed it back to them to bust my ass 10 times harder, pay it back in tenfold. And so that was just something that was always in the back of my mind, and my grandparents too. I spent summers, I practically lived at my grandparents, from time to time. And, they hardworking, and just, my grandmother actually owns her own business. And so I'd help her out, and seeing how hard she works all the way up till, she's now mid 80s and still working, and so just seeing that there's people that have worked very, very hard for me to be where I'm at, and I owe it back to them. And also I owe it to myself too. I don't want to just give myself a little, why not give myself as much as I possibly can? I've seen how there's certain people that live their lives based off of just what they can, and that limited fashion, right? And then I've also seen people how they can live their life getting the most out of life and squeezing every bit out of it.
Yeah.
And I think that side of it is just really exciting. There's so many opportunities. There's so many other things that can come from it, but it takes a lot of hard work to get there, right? And so it's like, I want that for myself and my family. And I also want to prove it to my parents and everyone else around me that has been working very hard, all those years leading up, that, hey, that hard work you did, it was all for a reason,
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, shoot, I don't know how long we've known each other now, but this entire time I never knew that, like, racing dirt bikes with me was what actually got you out of that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I honestly didn't know that until right now. So
yeah, it was a totally different path. It definitely got me, onto a different mindset. It got me into different environments. It was a big saving grace, and just kind of, a more of a direction for me. It was, big help.
Wow. I think that's really important though to talk about, because like so many people blame circumstances for where they're at in life. Right. And you said it, your parents are loving parents, and right, Trish, right, love you guys. But and yeah, they did work the tail off for you.
Yeah.
Same thing with my parents, worked the tail off, but like you had so many things that were beating you in life, right? Just constantly knocking you down. You could have allowed circumstance to dictate who you were. like you said, experiencing your cousin's death like that, and then getting into the wrong crowd, like that you could have said, well, because of that, I got into this, and because of that, that's where I'm at.
Right.
You know, so many people do that. I mean, honestly, how many people that were in that crowd are still in that crowd?
Yeah.
You know,
it's hard to get out of, for sure.
Right. And I've always believed like your circumstances don't dictate your future.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And was there like you always knew that you needed to get out of it, or was there something that happened that showed you like, hey, I need to figure something else out in life? Like if you remember, do you know what that was?
Yeah, I mean, I don't fully remember exactly what it was, but I do remember, you know, it wasn't something that like as I was in it of like, you know, hanging out with a different crowd, you know, thinking like, oh, you know, I need to stop doing this and maybe need to do things a little differently. It did get to a point to where it was like, you know, this just isn't, it just doesn't feel good anymore. You know, you can just feel it on the inside of you. Like it just doesn't feel right. I don't know. This person here is just, I don't like what they're doing. And then it was also just, I was looking for different changes of environment. Back then it was more like focused on sports, football, basketball, things like that. And then, you know, always raced dirt bikes, just kind of like, you know, here and there, but it wasn't until I got like serious about it. It was like, okay, let's go and do this thing and let's try for it. That was like a trigger with me of like noticing, kind of jumping into that other environment. I think that's what it was now that I had an experience of a different environment, then it really shined the light on what that other environment was. And was like, dang, I don't want to have any part of that anymore. This is a new direction for me, and I want to chase after that.
Okay. I like that. And to even like continue your story, right? Like it was like, again, like your high school and childhood experiences were so many things that were knocking you down in the dirt, but like it even went beyond that, right? Like,
yeah.
College was kind of a mess for you.
Yeah.
Right? Went to, I don't remember how long you did, like a year of college, and lost all those credits.
Yeah.
Transferring. And yeah, college was honestly kind of a roller coaster for you, right?
Yeah.
And so constantly getting through adversity, like, and see, that's the thing, man, is like, whether someone's an entrepreneur or not, personal development can help them so much, because that personal development is what made you a strong person, and your life experiences made you a strong person, and you allowed your life experiences to build your strength.
Right.
And to get you through everything you got through, and now, you know, successful engineer and family and building your own business. But even through college, man, like I would like looking at, I mean, to say there was equal, definitely you can't really describe high school and your college adversities being equal. But like your college, there's plenty of people that would say your college adversities got worse.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of roller coaster moments. You know, like you said, I started off in junior college, and about a year of that ended up being useless. You know, and that was even, and it wasn't even like something that I was just kind of like letting the counselors take the wheel and just kind of like saying like, oh, well, they told me these are the ones, you know, I need to do. You know, I was in the counselor's office every week, you know, telling them, hey, this is my plan. This is where I'm transferring. This is what I want to major in. This is what I'm doing. And, you know, going through all those classes, it, you know, still ended up being a year of it that wasn't, you know, worth anything. It was, I mean, yeah, I got to go through the classes and everything like that. But in those early years, you know, it's all kind of general stuff anyways. But yeah, and it wasn't until, you know, I kind of started taking matters in my own hands and going to the colleges that I want to transfer to and saying, hey, this is what I'm transferring to. This is where I'm taking, you know, and they kind of put me on that direction, but started getting onto the right path and had to move to Fresno and, you know, continue junior college there. I got accepted into Fresno State and started classes there. And I was a little complacent, you know, I wasn't on top of it as I should have been. And that was something that ended up biting me in the butt in the form of being kicked out. You know, at one point I was kicked out and they told me, sorry, pick up your grades and maybe we'll let you back in. And that was something, it was a blessing in disguise. You know, at the moment I was, you know, upset and just like, well, how did this happen? There's no one to blame but myself. You know, I just wasn't putting in the work that I need to be. I thought I could just kind of get by just getting by, you know, and, you know, I thought I was doing enough, but it's a lot more rigorous, and there's things that elevate. There's certain aspects of, whether it be life, school, work, building your own business. Once you get to another level, there's a different level of effort you have to put into that. And I didn't understand that at the moment, and then when that happened, I understood it and was able to apply myself properly, get back in, and then get to the point to where come my last semester of college, I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and found out I had a tumor the size of a baseball in my spine and was partially paralyzed. And so, I've worked and fought to get to this end. I literally have 3 months left until I graduate with my Bachelor's of Science in Civil Engineering and find out I have cancer, and it's a big blow, and cancer, that whole word, it's got an impact on itself, but I'm glad that I did have all those prior adversities that I had to overcome, because when it came time to my professors telling me, hey, we'll give you a year of grace, being able to finish out your assignments, and, don't worry about school, just, take care of yourself. I was able to tell them with confidence, thank you, I appreciate that, but I'm graduating in May. And I'm turning in all my assignments before I walk across the stage. And that's exactly what happened, with the support of my family, all my close friends, I was able to finish all my coursework on time, and I walked the stage with my classmates.
Yeah, which is just, a massive, massive accomplishment itself.
Thank you.
Man, I remember when you called me, and told me, like, I was in real estate at that time. I remember I had an open house, and you asked me if I was busy, and dude, what's crazy to think, like, the pain in your back started so much, like, earlier before that.
Yeah.
To consider, like, how long it was going on, I remember, like, replaying that in my head, like how insane that was.
Yeah.
And just if, like, it could have been caught sooner, right, and all those things. But man, like, you said that all your adversities probably is what made you the best person you could be at that time. But there's also so many people that would say, like, God, life's just kicking me in the ass, right? And I guess this is it, right? What was the biggest? So I don't think, like, there's any outside noise that, again, I was never in that. I'm not in that situation. I wasn't in that situation, but I would, from my projection, this is my projection, like, I would think that there's not really any outside noise that, like, can make a difference. Like, everybody's saying you can do this, you can fight this, like, right, like, it's just talk. And I feel like it's so much, you have to be so in tune with yourself during that time. Like, when you got that to the moment you said, I'm kicking this thing's ass, what was your thought process, and, like, what was your why for that?
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest, it didn't happen just like that. I did have a few, I think it was like a couple weeks where it's just kind of like, why again? Like, I remember calling my mom and having that conversation with her, just kind of like upset, angry, just kind of, yelling, like, I can't catch a break, this and that. And it wasn't until I kind of sat in that for a minute and kind of let myself feel that, and then realize, okay, there's a bigger purpose behind this. If I can get through this, then that means there's bigger and better things to come after. I'm a man of faith, and one of the things that we learn, in the church, and as a Christian, you learn that the good times come after the hard seasons. You got to go through the desert to enjoy the end result. And so that was when I really leaned into my faith, and tried to get just an understanding of, like, okay, this isn't happening to me, it's happening for me. And I don't know what that for is yet, but it's going to come at some point. And so let's go. Let's, one day at a time, one appointment at a time, one treatment at a time, and we'll see how this thing goes. But for the most part, I think what I really, really try to hone in on was just, all I have to worry about is how I'm feeling in here and in here. And in here, in my head, how I was feeling was a big part of it. because yeah, I mean, the chemo itself, it's rough, it's gnarly, you know, and it's easy for you to feel that in your body and instantly take over your mind of like, I just don't feel good, and this isn't going to work, this isn't going to happen, this isn't, you know, and just start going down that rabbit hole of thinking negative, right? And so it was very important to me that, you know, I kept my support group close, tight, and positive. We took advantage of any opportunities we could throughout that time of trying to make the most of it. You know, we had appointments in Stanford. Well, San Francisco's not too far. Let's go have a family trip in San Francisco. You know, things like that. And so it was a big mind shift, and it had to be very intentional at the beginning. But I can say towards the end, it became more second nature. You know, there was many times I found myself going through treatments and I was sitting there kind of in the chair, just in a meditative state. Just kind of like, okay, this is healing me. This is good for me. If I'm feeling something, that's because it's working. Great. Let it work. Let it do its thing. I'm gonna let you do its thing. God, I'm gonna let you do your thing. And the rest of it, I'm just gonna take care of myself, you know, and whatever way that looks and however I can. Yeah. So, you know.
Yeah, man. And I can't even, I don't think anybody that's not gone through could even imagine. But like your mindset is such a crucial part of that. Do you think that your stages of personal development was also a big role in being able to have that mind strength to be able to get through that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if it was I would say a couple years leading up to it, even maybe a year before, is when I started getting into more self-help, looking into, you know, listening to podcasts and you know, reading different books, and, you know, having that inside knowledge of how we can use our mind to better help ourselves in situations and look at things with a different perspective. That's a big one for me. And if I didn't have that background knowledge on it, I don't think it would have been as easy for me to flip that switch in my head of being able to, okay, I need to shift my perspective so that I can have a better mindset going through this. You know, if I didn't, it would have been much more difficult.
Yeah. Well, honestly, brother, like I've been proud and you've been an inspiration your entire life to me. You know, I've always loved everything that you've done and how hard you fought. You know, being there on the sideline of your entire journey, it's been a hell of a journey to watch, and the fact that you're really just getting started on your you know, on your real path of where you want to be.
Right.
And I love that you're starting to take that journey into running your own show. Super proud of that. But like one of my biggest things of, honestly, I'm excited that you're on the show because of who you are. But like I've been excited for you to come on because I've been constantly thinking this for the last few weeks. I was like, it's gonna be different because there are people that are out there that maybe aren't entrepreneurs yet.
Right.
But the mindset behind entrepreneurship is the mindset, and that is carried through all of your adversities in life and gotten you exactly to where you are. Like you're literally, I mean, minus the support, you are literally self-made.
Yeah.
You know, like you are self-made. You got yourself through college. You got yourself through all the adversities. You got yourself to the next step. And yeah, family's important, and the love and support is important, but your circumstances don't dictate your destiny.
Right.
And you are a walking and living proof of that. And that's why I was absolutely excited to have you on this, just because there's so many people that can pull from this entrepreneurial 9 to 5. It doesn't matter. Like no matter what road you choose, there's adversity.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Right. And having to get through that adversity comes with the mindset and pushing through, not allowing your circumstances to dictate your future.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I mean, I think it's really exciting to see where you guys are at. And like, I mean, the adversity didn't stop there, right? You guys finally found out that you couldn't end up having a baby because you were, right? I forget the exact terminology of it, but basically you weren't able to produce because of the chemo, right? But yeah, like adversity comes in all shapes, sizes, forms, colors, like, or you just don't know when it is.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't look for the negative in things, but you accept that life has obstacles.
Yeah.
And when those obstacles come, you just get through the damn obstacle. It's an obstacle, right? And you've been so much proof of that, man. So it's been really amazing to see your journey. And like I said, and I've said it multiple times, like, you didn't go down the route of entrepreneurship in the beginning, but you've faced so much adversity, you never allowed it to dictate your future.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Of course. And I think that's an inspiration to many. Your journey is an inspiration to many, man. So you have to write a book. Just that needs to be in the future. I'll
put it on the list.
Yeah. But man, I'm really excited for your new path. And if you want to kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So as you're saying, went through all those different things and got to it, and I finally was able to get into my line of field of working as a civil engineer, and just started working my way through things. And I've been fortunate enough to have opportunities to be able to climb up and be in a position where I'm leading a team now. And for some reason, there's just something missing there, and I've been feeling this for a while. And my wife joked around with me, about a year ago, when I was kind of like trying to feel different things out. She's like, "Hey, are you having a midlife crisis? What's going on here?" Because, man, I was searching for anything I could that would just kind of like scratch that itch for me, right? Like, I was looking, I've always been into creating, drawing, logos, different things like that. One of the things that got me into civil engineering was creating, building, and designing, and it added a technical aspect to it. That's something that's always just been, something that drives me. And, I'm not really getting that much more. And so I was looking at different things that might get me that, and still within the opportunity of owning my own business, because that has always been my end goal, and it's going to be my end goal. It's just how I'm going to get there. And, it was just, I think because I had my mind open to different opportunities. My wife's friend was over one day, and she had mentioned that her company was, hiring software engineers. And at first I was kind of like, probably not something I'll, really ever get into, until it's like, well, look into it. What's the worst that could happen? You just look into it and just see what it is. Started looking into it, and I just started diving down the rabbit hole. And next thing I know, I'm taking a boot camp course, going through night school, for 6 months to be licensed as a software engineer. So, so I'm doing that now on the side, still grinding out my typical 9 to 5 as my career, still trying to do the best I can, because ultimately I know, like, I can't just lag at what I'm doing now, because that's not going to set me up for success when I step into my own. Something that I think has also helped me throughout my regular 9 to 5 job is that I've been looking at it as if I am my own boss. I'm in charge of the things I have to do. I'm going to operate and take care of those tasks in a way that if I own my own business, I would do that.
That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah. So, and it served me well. I've been able to get things done at a great rate, and it's also just building for the next thing to come. And so, I'm still focused on doing that where I'm at, and but working on the side. It's tiring for sure, and I don't really have an off time, but luckily, with software engineering, it doesn't feel like work, so that feels really good to me.
Yeah.
And it's something I want to be doing. I want to be learning how to do better and just do more of. And so, I'm just kind of grinding that out right now.
Yeah, man, that's absolutely amazing. So really, brother, you've gone that whole entire journey, right? You've had damn near every form of adversity I could think of. You've made it through college. You're in a fantastic career. You have a beautiful home, lovely family, right? Baby on the way. Yep. Life's going great, and you're looking for that next level. The biggest thing, man, is your story has been an inspiration to me and is an inspiration to so many, but there's also so many people probably going through the same story.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What would be your advice to those going through the same story, fighting those battles of whatever their personal battle is, and how would you help people to look past to get down the road that they want to go down?
Yeah. So, I mean, from my personal experience, I think, a couple things come to mind. One, I think it's ultra important of be particular on who you have surrounding you.
Mm.
It's very, very important that you have like-minded people around you that want to go the same place you want to go, that have the same beliefs that you have, and have the same kind of aspirations and goals that you have. I think that's very, very important because that's also going to help you when you're just hanging out with friends. You guys are still on that path together,
Yes.
and the road less traveled is very fun to go down, but it's even more fun when you've got someone to go down and with you, and you guys are going down together. So one, I would definitely say, be selective of who you spend your time with, and be more uh, intentional of who you're spending your time with. Two, I would definitely say you have to change your perspective. You got to change your perspective on how you're going through things, and that's going to be very difficult at first, and it's going to be very intentional of having to see the situation you're in right now, of saying like everything's against me. The
Yeah.
cards are not stacked in my favor. Why am I even going to try?
Yeah.
Well, you don't know what's on the other side of that. So you need to push through as hard as that's going to be. And that brings it back to the first one. It's going to be that much easier and that much better to get through if you have the right people with you. But getting through that hard time and those adversities, it's not only going to make you feel better, because all of a sudden, you're going to look back and think, man, 2 months ago, this life was hell. I didn't think I was going to get through that. I don't know how I was going to get through that. And now things are totally different. That's going to help you be able to be more resilient for the next one to come, because like we said earlier, it's not if, it's when. And so you're building that toolbox. You're adding those tools in that toolbox of being able to handle those adversities when they come next time. And so just being able to shift your perspective on that, of saying, okay, what am I learning now in this moment that I can take away from it and be able to use that for next time?
Yeah.
Because also, if you don't really kind of do some introspective, kind of understanding of what you're going through, and how you can look at it as a learning experience, it really won't help you for the next time adversity comes. Because you're just going to throw your hands up and be like, here it is again. It's coming for me again. So two, definitely I would say shift your perspective. How is this going to help you? How is this helping? There's going to be a way it's going to help you.
Yeah.
I mean, I was able to find a way that it was helping me going through cancer. I looked at it as, this is my time to just be selfish and just focus on my health, and just be ultra, intentional on being, good with my health. And then three, I would say continue working as if there's going to be something that just falls in your lap that is going to be like the ultimate situation for you. It's that old saying, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's opportunities in life that come up that some people were like, man, I missed that one. If I would have had XYZ happen, then I would have gotten to there. I would have gotten to point B. But if you constantly work towards like, that's going to happen the next day, you never know when your life is going to change, and never know when new opportunity is going to be brought into your life that all of a sudden takes you down a whole new path, but you're ready for that. And I say ready very loosely, because you're never really ready for anything until you start diving down into it.
Yeah.
But definitely, even going through those hard times, like, man, this is tough, this is hard, but you got to keep grinding through it, and just be kind of looking at it in a way that there could be an opportunity that comes tomorrow that just changes everything. But if you're not ready for that moment, it's going to run right past you.
Right. And I think it's even like the mindset of it, right? Like,
Yeah.
Like you said, you're never actually ready. You're not like,
No.
You don't know when it's coming. When it comes, it comes. It can come in any shape, fashion, form, or a dialogue, right? And I think it's the openness to it.
Yeah.
Right. Never closing a door, never saying no to anything, allowing everything to flow through and feeling it. And if it's something you feel, inclined to, or I'm going to say, driven towards,
Yeah.
right, then just going for it. And then it's okay not to know. Now, you didn't know crap about software engineering. That was a whole new field for you.
Yeah.
But your openness allowed you to say, let me actually look into this a little bit more.
Right.
and then you went down the rabbit hole, and then you found a passion for it. But like, I mean, honestly, if we were to talk back in high school, you would have never said that I want to be a guy that's developing, websites and stuff, right?
Right.
But just continuously to stay open. I mean, to be honest, like in high school, I was definitely never the guy to say I'm going to be in the financial industry.
Right.
And here I was, right? So it's just the ability to stay open. I absolutely think that's a powerful factor, but I also think it all ties with the other things that you said too, your environment.
Yeah.
Right. Your environment is crucial. They say that you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. Right. And so if you're around a bunch of 5s, and we're not talking looks, right? We're talking, I'm going to say motivation capacity or, drive, whatever it may be. But if you're around a bunch of 5s, then your average is a 5.
Yeah.
No matter how high you think you may be, if you're a 7, your people are going to bring you back down to a 5. And so your environment's super, super crucial. And you said having somebody go down that path with you is important. And I think your environment is what allows you to feel going down that path. But then there's also the road of entrepreneurship is a lonely road, man. That's why most people don't go down it, because there's a lot of telling people no. There's a lot of telling people I can't, right? There's a lot of just solo nights to you. There's a lot of self-thought and self-talk. Yeah. Right. You have to be your best friend down that path. It can be it's a lonely path to the way to the top, but it's not lonely at the top. Right. But your environment is what cultivates that.
Absolutely.
And when we look at that, to be honest, from high school, you're the only person that I still speak to.
Same here.
And it's because the environment, right? We had to shift that environment to be where we wanted to be. And, most of the people that I surround myself with are people in entrepreneurial space that are, have the same mindset. But the reason why we've been able to stay, you're always brother no matter what. But the reason why I think we've been able to stay so close is because even though at first your route was the college 9 to 5, your mindset was always growth, right? And development and bettering and just becoming a better human. And I'm going to say that your journey actually started way sooner than mine. I've always had drive, but I was just a loose cannon. Right? I just knew I wanted to do something, and I didn't know what that was. Reading was definitely not my thing. Hated every bit of it, but now I love it. I read every single morning, and environment's important, man. And like that's why I've always felt like whenever we don't get to see each other every day anymore, but whenever we do get to see each other, I feel like we could talk about the past, but we also could talk about the future, right? And they say if you can only talk with people about the past, then you probably shouldn't be talking to those people. And we can reminisce about the past and just, like great life, but we constantly talk about what's next. And I think that's super important. Environment's so, so, so crucial in someone's journey. And the perspective. Perspective is everything, right? Life happens for you, not to you. And the moment that you shift that perspective of everything that happens is for me and not to me, there's an entire new world to look at. Yeah. Right?
It's powerful.
Yeah, it really is. It really is, because if you live in the to me life, you're a victim.
Yeah.
And if you're always living like a victim, you're always going to have, this isn't literal terms, but figurative terms, the poverty mindset of, I'm stuck where I'm at.
Yeah.
Allowing yourself to be a warrior, a champion, and understanding that things happen for me and in a way to teach me a lesson, in a way to show me a new path, whatever it may be. I mean, there's been plenty of times I could have said things happened to me in my journey in my life too, right? I hit rock bottom multiple times, but I always used it as a forming method, and it got me to where I am.
Yep.
Perspective, I'm going to say, next to environment, is probably one of the most crucial things. Having an environment that supports and helps your growth and supports growth. If you have people that are trying to pull you back down to reality, get rid of those people.
Right.
Yeah. And then the perspective of what it does, or what happens and how it can help you and guide you, I think is super crucial. And if people can change that, then you can change the entire outlook on your life and where you're headed. Yep. And then you start to realize that you have control.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And choice, and life is choice. You know, every direction of life is choice. So that's super crucial. And because of how many hours you probably spent to get a career that people would probably say that you're blessed to have, and you know, yada yada this, and it's a great salary, don't leave it, and security this and all that, you know, crap, to be honest. You are taking a leap on yourself, and you're doing it in a strategic way, which I think is really important for those that have been sitting in that safety world and realizing where we're at in today's economy, that there's so much going on that makes it unsafe.
Right.
I feel like most people feel, well, I'm already here, or I'm already this age, you know, I can't change it, right? I'm here, I can't do this now.
Yeah.
Right? Well, 5 years is going to come, and 5 years is going to come regardless, whether you're still here or you took a different route.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to do, I think, when you're in a stuck situation. But what do you think is the biggest guiding point for that?
As far as trying to get unstuck, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe somebody's thinking about wanting to do something, but they're in that victim mentality of, oh, I can't do that, right? I got bills, whatever it may be. Right. But what would you say for those people?
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is just get started. Mm-hmm. Just start doing something. And I'm sure there's plenty of people that have said it, and it's kind of a cliche, but it's one of those things, like, if there's something you want to do that, you know, you would do it even if you weren't getting paid for it, you know, go after that.
Yeah.
There's always a way, especially now with social media nowadays,
right,
and different platforms, and, you know, you have people that are making a living off of making hats. You know, they're making cowboy hats, and they're making a living, and they're loving it, you know, because that's their passion, their creative, you know, environment. So nothing is kind of like too far fetched at this point. There's always a way to spin it, right? And so one of my biggest problems, and something that I'm still trying to overcome, is just getting started. You know, as I'm going down this journey of, you know, yes, like you said, I have a great career. I have, you know, good benefits, you know, whatever. And even though I have all that, I'm still looking for something else, because one, I might get off on a little tangent here, but one, I also know that if I continue down this path of the 9 to 5 that I'm working now, I'm not going to be the best man that I need to be for my wife and my children. And I know that is way more important to me, of the man that I am coming home as to my family, than what I'm doing in my day-to-day life. Mm-hmm. If I'm making enough to provide for my family, but I'm a much better father, husband to my family, then that's way more important to me, right? And so that's where it's kind of like a shift for me of like, yes, I do have a great career, but I know that it's something that's going to be draining. And as I get higher up, it's going to get more demanding of my time, and less time I'm going to have for my family. And that's something I don't want. I don't want to end up having that life. So I knew there was a way that I needed to get out of that. Software engineering is looking to be that way for me right now. But the hardest thing for me was getting started. Just finding something that I wanted to do and just going after it and just getting started, because it is scary. It's scary going down something and saying, like, this is going to be my new identity, basically, right? Yeah. It's an identity shift.
Or the what if it doesn't work?
Exactly. But I guarantee you, if you go and you try that thing that you've been kind of having in the back of your mind of, I think this might be something I want to do, guarantee you, if you go down that path and try it, most likely it's going to work out. But even if it doesn't, you're going to be more satisfied with yourself, because you went and tried it, and you know now, instead of constantly having that what if. Man, 5 years passed now. What if I would have started 5 years ago on this and been in a whole different, you know, environment, different life? And that's something that I just don't want to have even a thought of a what if, you know? And so, like, yeah, I'm not really prepared to be freelancing as a software engineer, building people's websites, but I'm getting started. I'm just telling people, you know, hey, let me just try this out. Let me see it. And because I used to be someone that, well, I still am, right? I'm still trying to work through that of, I need to know point A to point Z before I can get started. Well, I'm going to discourage myself before I even get started because point A to point Z is so unknown and there's so many things to it that you're just going to be paralysis by analysis,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And instead of just getting started and be like, oh, okay, well, when I need to do this or get this done, then, these need to fall into place. So things like that. And so that's, I think, first of mind, just get started.
Just get
Just
started.
do something. And, at least you still have your 9 to 5 that, is providing for you right now. You don't need to rely on those what ifs of making it, having income come in. And then once you do start getting an income, then you start, getting some momentum from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the first thing that would come to my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, analysis paralysis, right? There's a saying that as entrepreneurs, you jump off the cliff and build your parachute on the way down.
Yeah, I mean,
And it's so true,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
Because if you're constantly trying to figure just the next step, you're never going to start.
Yeah.
And then the person that just started is going to be 30 steps ahead.
Yeah.
Because they just started.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't know the path, but they started and they just figured it out.
Well,
Right?
and even if you're trying to figure it out from A to Z, you're not going to get everything in there.
You can't
You're
possibly.
going to miss multiple steps. I mean, for
Life.
example, one of the people I'm helping out building the website for right now was a time zone difference. That wasn't even a thought in my mind. I was thinking of this perfect plan of how I would freelance and do everything, but time zones wasn't even a thought, So it's things you don't realize until you actually get into it and start doing it, that start building that muscle memory of how to do it and what to expect for next time. And it just kind of builds from there.
Yeah. Learning as you go is really crucial. Man, that is so accurate because you literally can't possibly know. And even if you do have it mapped out, let me tell you, life is going to get in the way.
I love this saying, have a plan, but write it in pencil, because you're going to have to change that plan.
Yes.
You're going to have to, and you're going to have to roll with it.
Yeah. How I think it's so crucial in today's world to have, this is what's beautiful, man. I'm going to say that the way the economy is going, the reason why I love it so much as an entrepreneur is because our American soil is built off the backbone of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And then it slowly got drifted into this corporate America where we expected safety and jobs. But because the inflation rate and the economy has gotten so out of control, a regular 9 to 5 typically does not pay enough anymore.
Right.
They say the average American household has to make $114,000 a year to afford a house now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if the average American is making a $60,000 to $70,000 salary, you are scraping by to own a home.
Yeah.
Right? And just to live paycheck to paycheck. And so a side hustle is almost a necessity now.
Yeah.
And so I love it in a way is it's forcing Americans to get creative again and go back to that backbone of entrepreneurship. And like you said, like it doesn't have to be the TikTok star or the social media star. Like you can simply make a living building cowboy hats.
Yeah.
Right. You can make a living using your land for an event center. Right. There's so many ways of doing it now.
Yeah.
It's so crucial. And I love it. I think that people need to be more transparent to it and need to be more open to it. And I think there's plenty of people that are sitting in the exact shoe or seat that you're in and wanting to, but just not knowing where to start. And I think accepting that that's okay not to know where to start, and just starting, and letting the journey take you on the journey. And the biggest thing is the biggest thing I've learned through entrepreneurship is success is actually predictable. I've been able to learn that you can predict your success based off your movement, right? An action a day towards the goal, an action a day towards the goal, 1% better every day, right? There's so many different sayings that go about it, but it is a formula. It's true. It's accurate. So if you just take one step to move the needle forward in the direction that you want to go, you are getting closer to the goal. Yeah. Just do actions that move the needle forward. And that's simply that. So,
yeah. And I love that you say that, because that is something that has been a real struggle with me for, being that I do have a 9 to 5. I have a wife at home. She's pregnant. I want to be, there for her and provide for what she needs and help out. So, I have time obligations. So my time to spend on my, entrepreneurial route of software engineering is limited, and so I have to squeeze it in when I can. But something that was holding me back at the beginning was like, well, if I don't have 2 hours a day to dedicate to this, then the time's wasted then. It's wasted time.
Yeah.
But I have been able to shift that perspective and be able to see it as, okay, no, 30 minutes of time and just adds up, and just
one more page a day.
Yeah, a little bit, I read another line of code. I read another function, whatever it may be for that day. That's going to be one more thing that I now have experience with, and another thing that just keeps moving the ball forward. And so that's the biggest thing for me right now is like, I get it in when I can, and I definitely, dedicate and try to make time for that. But it is one of those things that consistency.
Yeah.
It's just building that consistent habit, muscle memory of just time after time, day after day, and just building those small little wins.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. That's so huge. 1% better every day.
Yeah.
And one more, that's such a big factor to live off of.
Yep.
You said something a moment ago that really keyed, and I'm gonna make a massive takeaway is the fact that people feel like, okay, well, I only have 2 hours, right? I have a wife, a kid, right? Bills, whatever it may be, and you have this limited time. I was literally just talking to my team about this today in our training. There is a saying that goes, and it is 100% accurate. You're gonna pay now, or you're gonna pay later, but you will pay.
Right.
And so now you get to make the choice, right? We just talked about like being choice and being in control. It's a simple matter of fact. You take control. Do you want to pay now, or do you want to pay later? Because you will pay at one point, because you were talking about a minute ago, right? Like, hey, I know if I continue down this route, I'm not going to be the best husband or father I can be.
Yeah.
And because you're going to be at work all the time, and it's going to get more demanding, right? And so by not paying now, you will pay later on for that.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And so once people understand that and like let that sink in, you have a simple choice, and you make the choice. You pay now, and you sacrifice a little bit of time. And don't get me wrong, it has to be a family agreement, right? Like, I'm sure you and Drina had to talk about that, like, all right, this is going to be a little bit hard right now, but this is what we're doing. Kaylin and I had to talk about that, right? Hey, we slave away right now to make sure that we have the best life for our family. Because I'd be damned if I'm paying later.
Right.
When I'm 50, I want to be sipping a few Moscow meals and just relaxing and enjoying my family rather than still working. And not to say that's the wrong route, because again, your parents, my parents, they did that route, right? And we thank them. I said this on a podcast already. Like, I thank my mom, every single day for what she did for me and provided for me.
Yep. But
you said it best. Like, we deserve to show our generation even better. Yeah. Right? And more importantly, we deserve to show our parents that what they did was right for us.
Yeah.
And that's so crucial, man. I want my obviously my son's only 3 years old, and he doesn't understand much. He just doesn't get to see dad that much. But as he's getting older, like, it's funny is he'll say, he'll tell Caitlin, daddy's working, right? And so he's understanding I'm working, but now I want him, I tell him all the time what we're doing it for, and I'm Caitlin's putting it more into his ear, that way he has an understanding, like, dad's working to create the best life that he can have for can create for you, right? And I don't want somebody else to be my son's superhero. I want him to be his hero, and I also want to paint the picture for what he can do and let him know that he can do whatever he wants to do. So I think that's really, really crucial, man. And I'm super proud of everything that you've accomplished, but I'm also proud of the journey that you're taking.
Yeah, thank you. I'm also very proud of you too. Just diving into it. I think that is a skill that you definitely have of diving into it, and figure it out on the way, and you've been figuring it out pretty well. And I'm excited to see what's more to come.
Yeah, brother, I appreciate you. For old time's sake, I'll say from the movie Supercross, hey man, no risk, no reward.
Exactly.
But yeah, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. It's a journey, man. It's a never going journey.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship is a way of life. Personal development is a way of life.
Yeah.
And I think when people fall in love with that, they will fall in love with a whole new version of themselves.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you, brother, for coming on. I'm really thankful that you did, and this was a fantastic time, and I know you guys took a lot of value from that. The biggest thing I'm going to say is your perspective and your environment.
Yeah,
your perspective and your environment's everything, and then tie that in with some personal development. You'd be amazed at what people can accomplish with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for tuning into the Success Shift today. It was a little bit different, right? Normally we talk to entrepreneurs and their route to success in entrepreneurship. And today you guys got to hear from somebody that had a life, honestly, full of adversity, started down the traditional route, and but still has a bigger picture. And so if that's you, you guys can do whatever it is that you want to do. You can accomplish whatever you want to do. Don't let your circumstances dictate your future. Take control of your life, step into your success. Be great, everybody. You guys were born to be great. Have a great day.